My friends, it's primary day in New Hampshire, and I don't like what I'm hearing. Don't like it at all. Donald Trump echoes Marco Rubio and yours truly, Howard Riell, in suggesting that President Obama might not want to defeat ISIS. Has the reason finally been revealed why MSNBC's Chris Matthews keeps his lips constantly pressed against Hillary Clinton's backside? And, believe it or not, modern women want to get married. Trouble is, men don't. My name is Howard Riell, and this is Riell Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com and on Facebook and YouTube and Tumblr and in the book Riell Truth, Stay Angry. And of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM The Lion. Our call-in number is 877-254-7524. My friends, it's snowing in New Hampshire, but people, I understand, are coming out in droves to take part in the first primary of this new election season. Let's not kid ourselves. The reason they're coming out in droves is Donald Trump. And that's a good thing. But, item from MSNBC. Donald Trump used his final rally before Tuesday's New Hampshire presidential primary to sling a litany of insults at his rivals on Monday, and raised eyebrows when he repeated an offensive remark from a member in the crowd who shouted that Ted Cruz's position on waterboarding made him a... Well, I can't use the next word. Starts with a P, but I won't say it. We'll continue. The Republican frontrunner for the White House also mocked Jeb Bush and said Marco Rubio was, quote, sweating like a dog, unquote, during this weekend's debate. But his reiteration of a vulgarity shouted by a female supporter in the Verizon Center on Monday evening was likely the first time in American history that a major presidential candidate used the phrase widely considered obscene in a televised rally, let alone use the word to refer to his nearest competitor for public office. Unquote. My friends, I told you while the music was playing, I don't like what I'm hearing. And no, I'm not referring to Donald Trump. I don't like what I'm hearing from blind, deaf, and dumb Americans, to namby-pamby Americans, to Americans who don't know what the game is about, and they don't know the stakes. Let me lay it out for you. America is in a fight for its life. America's dying. Once the greatest country in the world, America is dying. No outside enemy has conquered us. It's been done from inside. Politicians who don't give a rat's ass about America or Americans, and voters who vote for those politicians. Business as usual, the locked-in power elite, the global governing mechanism based in Washington, D.C., the two-party hydra that's really one party. It's the big government party. It needs to be blown up. It needs to be smashed, fragmented, splintered, stepped on, and replaced by something that's responsive to the American people once again. Enter Donald Trump, who's not a member of the establishment, not a politician, not a part of the Beltway crew. He's a disruptive force coming at a time in history when a disruptive force is precisely what's needed. And rather than acting on that, our fellow Americans, some of them at least, are saying, what? What kind of language did he use? I wouldn't vote for him now. In other words, these people are idiots. They're simpletons. Would I use that word out on the campaign trail? I would not. I won't even use it here on the radio, although legally I think I could. Donald Trump uses vulgarities. Get over it. It's how he is, it's what and who he is. But the question before us today remains this: who's the best person to solve America's problems? Well, a lot of the candidates talk about ISIS, and a lot of them talk about the economy, and that's great because we need help there, but they're politicians. And one of the biggest problems, maybe the biggest problem we have, is politicians. All the other candidates take money from special interests. Trump doesn't. So he doesn't owe anybody anything. He's not used to the business as usual in the Beltway, and so he's going to come in with business as unusual. He's going to kick ass and take names. He's going to not abide by the common rules. He's going to make his own rules, and he's going to get the same results that he's gotten in his business career, which are fantastic. And yet people don't like the fact that he used a vulgar word. Well, folks, grow up. America can no longer wait for you to grow up. The pressing problems are upon us right now. We need you to wake up starting today. Especially my listeners in New Hampshire. I know Trump is a little more gruff than you're used to, and I hear people saying he's not presidential. Well, to those people I say Barack Obama does act presidential. And he has eviscerated this nation. So maybe, possibly, just perhaps, acting presidential isn't important. Maybe you can act presidential and still be a disaster. So forget acting presidential. Forget the occasional vulgarity. We need someone to solve our problems. Trump is that guy. And no, of course, I'm not getting paid by the Trump people to say this. I don't get paid to do the show, period. But I am a keen observer of the American scene and of the political process. As you know, by the way, if you read my book, Riell Truth, Stay Angry. And I am here to tell you that we need a disruptive force in Washington like we've never needed it before. Trump is the guy. So if you are so dainty and so faint of heart that you would base your decision on whom to vote for president based on a word that you take offense at, well, my friends, you are too dainty. You are too much of a dilettante, and we just plain don't have any more time for that nonsense. Grow up, wake up, recognize that America is struggling to survive, and out of everybody running for office today, Trump is the guy who can get the job done better. And so I don't care if he goes out and uses vulgarities all day long. I'm not paying for him to be Miss Manners. I'm voting for him. When it's my turn to vote, I'll vote. I'm voting for him because he can solve the problems. The big problems. The shattering problems that we face. And that's why you should vote for a presidential candidate. Period. Now, if you're planning on voting for Hillary or Bernie Sanders or Jeb Bush, you're probably listening to the wrong radio station. It's Riell Truth. It's Tuesday. I'll be back with lots of great stuff, my friends. Don't go anywhere unless you're going to New Hampshire to vote. Then go and vote for Trump. We'll be back.
We all know that our government is out of control. What are the point the people in it? How can we, the people, bring it back to the people's servants, not the people's masters? Liberty Forum and the Freedom Rider say officials in government must be made accountable for their actions. AccountabilityRevolution.com is the place to go to learn how you can actually make that happen. Become their judges, not their slaves. AccountabilityRevolution.com. Rehabilitation and Nursing Center of the Rockies reminds everyone the chance of involvement in an auto accident rises dramatically with the consumption of alcohol or use of drugs. Please think before you drive. Don't let drugs or alcohol ruin your life or take the lives of others. You are responsible for your own safety as well as the safety of those around you. This message from Rehabilitation and Nursing Center of the Rockies. For information on their services, call 970-484-7981.
Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone into the world. By this you will know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit that does not confess that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have already heard was coming and is now already in the world. 1 John 4:1.
Article 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the persons or things to be seen.
Welcome back to Riell Truth. Howard Riell, beginning of the primary season today. It's happening in snowy New Hampshire. I hope the people there are smart enough to do the right thing. Anyway, Donald Trump was recently on the Sean Hannity show. What he had to say was important. Let's listen.
Of course, the author of the book, Crippled America, How to Make America Great Again, which is his mantra 2016, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. Well, there were two polls in Iowa today. The Emerson College poll had you by 10. The CNN poll had you by 11. Why all of a sudden now the big surge? It had been tightening up a little bit.
Well, I think they were right from the beginning. I'm not sure if it was a surge. You know, CNN had us at 33 to 20 about 2 weeks ago, but nobody wanted to report that poll because it was too much of a lead. So they reported other polls that were closer. The Des Moines paper that I'm not a big fan of, Des Moines Register, and they reported that poll, which I disagree with. But you know, look, I mean, we've really done well. I've spent a lot of time in Iowa. I love the people of Iowa. We're doing great with the evangelicals, Sean. We're doing great with the Tea Party, and I think we're going to do really well in Iowa.
Populism, not necessarily conservatism. Newt Gingrich said on this program this week that you are demeaning yourself if you get into a fight in this particular case, but the polls show you're winning. So do you go with the polls that it works when you go back and forth, or do you say, yeah, maybe my relationship with Ted Cruz can be repaired?
Well, I have to go with my own thinking. Don't forget, Ted attacked me, and then I attacked him. But he started, and he attacked me pretty viciously. And, you know, first he was laying back, as we all know. It was, you know, everybody, they said in the wake. And frankly, he attacked me, Sean. So, and I have a lot of respect for Mark Levin. I have a tremendous respect for Rush. Rush has been great for me. Rush has been so amazing. And Mark's been pretty good. I mean, Mark likes Ted, and I think he likes me. But you know, I have to go with my own thinking, and I talked about the fact that, frankly, I think I'm doing the party a favor, and I think I'm doing actually Ted a favor. The fact that he was born in Canada, he was a citizen of Canada until just 15 months ago, and he's got a problem. We have constitutional lawyers that are coming out saying he can't even run. So how can you have a candidate that you're going to pick as a Republican nominee, and he's not allowed to run for the office of president? That's a big problem. And he has some other problems, like he didn't disclose in his financial papers that he was borrowing money from Goldman Sachs and Citibank because he wants to be the big, you know, wonderful guy that takes down the banks. But here he is with personal guarantees to Citibank and Goldman Sachs. So, you know, I think it should have been disclosed.
Let me go through. If these polls hold up, you will be the Republican nominee. I know a lot of your agenda, but I want to go over it with 11 days to Iowa, maybe closing argument sort of thing. I know you have said that you would rescind on day one Obama's executive orders. You would build the wall expeditiously. You've been very firm about that. You would raise the standards for who we allow into this country. You would replace Obamacare. You told me, I think you're still for healthcare savings accounts, correct?
Yes, I like that as a concept. I certainly like it, yes.
Yeah. And ISIS, you would take their oil and bomb the living daylights out of them.
I would bomb them, you better believe it.
I want you to expand, for maybe those people, those few people that are left that are undecided in Iowa and New Hampshire. Tell them what else a Trump presidency would look like.
Well, we're going to be strong on the military. We're going to build our military. You know, our military is a mess right now. We've just let it go. There hasn't been proper investment, and our military is going down. I'm in the real estate business. All the time I'm getting listings, army bases, naval bases. I mean, they're selling everything. I just say, how many bases do they have? Anybody in the real estate industry can tell you, because I'm getting constantly, I get listings for these military bases, and I say, how many are we going to close? We have to create a tremendously strong military. Hopefully never have to use it, but it's got to be so strong that nobody's going to mess with us, Sean, because we're at a very perilous time. I want to take care of our vets, big league, take care of the vets. We're going to strengthen the border. We're going to build the wall. I tell you, Mexico is going to pay for the wall. It's going to be very simple. They're making a fortune. I'm going to also, you know, Carl Icahn, who was a great businessman, endorsed me. Many other businessmen have endorsed me and want to endorse me. The greatest. Unfortunately, a lot of people haven't heard of them, but these are the greatest businessmen in the world, and women. And we're going to have great people negotiating our trade agreements. We're not going to lose $500 billion a year with China like last year. $500 billion in trade deficits with China. It's not going to happen anymore. Japan, Mexico is killing us at the border, but they're also killing us in trade. Ford is building a big plant there, a $2.5 billion plant. Nabisco is leaving Chicago with a big plant, and they're building a plant in Mexico. Why? So we're going to stop all of that. We're going to have people build plants, but they're going to be built in this country, and they're going to want to build them. It's not going to be. We're not going to force them. We're going to build them because we're lowering the taxes. You know, we're the highest taxed nation in the world. When my tax plan, which is very good, which your friend Larry Kudlow, who I respect a lot, loves my plan. When this plan goes into effect, a lot of good things are going to happen.
I like the repatriation.
And we're going to also stop corporate inversion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We're going to stop corporate inversion.
Let me
I mean,
ask
we
you
have
this.
companies that are leaving. Hey, Sean, we have companies that are leaving the United States and moving to Ireland and Europe and Asia. I mean, they're leaving. Pfizer is moving to Ireland. We have major, wonderful companies.
Tax benefits.
That, frankly, because the taxes are so high and because they can't bring their money back into our country, which is ridiculous, even the Democrats, you know, it's amazing. Democrats and Republicans agree the money should be allowed to come back in. Who wouldn't agree? They can't get along. They can't make a deal.
A big part of your
They need
campaign is
leadership.
about how America has made stupid deals, and as the president, you would negotiate better deals. You'd blow up the entire Iran deal, which needs to be blown up. You would negotiate better deals with China, better deals with Japan, better deals with Mexico. Here's my question. If you look at the American electorate right now, and I count myself among them, and I'm a registered conservative, I'm angry at Washington, even Republicans, because they have contributed to the debt. They're the ones that allowed Obama's executive amnesty. They wouldn't use the power of the purse. In terms of negotiating with a Congress that has shown itself to have zero to little discipline, how will you hold the line when they want to raise the deficit and the debt? How do you negotiate with those, lifelong politicians if you become the president?
Sean, I guess you know, and people that are in business know, I've been dealing with politicians all my life. I mean, it's fine to deal with politicians. There's nothing wrong with it. You deal with them. You have to cajole and you have to get them in a room. A little like Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill. You know, they were very opposites in a lot of ways, but they got along and they made deals that the country did well and everybody was happy. They're not doing executive orders like Obama does because not even the Democrats will do what he wants to do. So you have to be able to do this. You know, you mentioned, sadly, the Iran deal. The worst part of the Iran deal is by the time I get there, if I win, but by the time I get there, $150 billion will be spent.
You can't
and then
do it.
Today,
Yeah.
And then today, well, I don't know if you saw today,
John Kerry.
Secretary Kerry, he came out and he said, yes, we expect a certain amount of that money to be used for terror.
I have the cut. You want me to play it? Let me play it for our audience so
you
they
can
know
play
what
it.
I'm talking about.
Amazing.
It's outrageous.
I couldn't believe this statement. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think that some of it will end up in the hands of the IRGC or of other entities, some of which are labeled terrorist. To some degree, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every component of that can be prevented, but I can tell you this. Right now, we are not seeing the early delivery of funds going to that kind of endeavor at this point in time. I'm sure at some point some of it will.
I just cannot
Sean,
believe
can you
he
imagine
said that.
Listen, Sean, listen to the stupidity of that statement. He said, well, so far we're happy that they haven't given it to terror, essentially. Why don't they have restrictions? First of all, the money should have never been given back under any... We should have gotten our prisoners back. We then should have said we're not giving... We owe $19 trillion, Sean. $19 trillion. It's going to be because of that really horrible budget deal that was made 2 weeks ago. It's now going up to $21 trillion very quickly, right? So we owe $21 trillion. Here's a guy that says the money we gave them is going to be used for terror. If that's the
scary.
case, first of all, why do they give them the money?
If Congress-
Second of all, Sean, why didn't they have clauses that it can't go to terror?
It is insane.
It's incredible.
If Congress
I can't
comes
believe
to
he's
you and
even
you're
an
the president,
intelligent man.
and they hand you a budget, and it's going to blow the deficit through the roof, you're going to hold the line, correct?
I'm going to hold the line. You know, I heard the other day that they want to make the budget, balance the budget within 25 years. I said, 25 years? Why 25 years? We can do. Look, we're getting rid of Common Core, even though some people, like Jeb Bush, who doesn't have a clue, some people like Common Core. Jeb Bush likes Common Core. Some people like him are weak on immigration. I mean, they're very weak. You know, remember he said they come in as an act of love. We need people that know what they're doing. We spend a fortune on education. We're number 28 in the world, and we're number 1 in spending. We're getting rid of Common Core. There's so many things that we can cut.
All right, stay right there.
And we can balance the budget very quickly.
But you think in 5 years?
I think over a 5-year period, and I don't know, maybe I could even surprise you.
All right.
But I mean make the country better. I'm not saying skimp. I'm saying making the country better.
I want the country to, I know most Americans are with you, wanting the country to be better and stronger.
My friends, that is what a leader sounds like. I'm telling you because a lot of you might not know because it's been so long since we've had a real leader in this country in government. But I know about leaders. I've been fortunate enough to come into contact with a lot of people in my life who are genuine leaders. And Trump is one also. Item from WorldNet Daily. In another wide-ranging interview with talk radio host Michael Savage, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump suggested President Obama might not have a desire to defeat the Islamic jihadist group ISIS. The real estate billionaire shied away from declaring he would win the New Hampshire primary on Tuesday. Trump repeated his observation that President Obama refuses to identify the enemy as, quote, radical Islamic terrorism, insisting ISIS and other groups have nothing to do with Islam. It's radical Islamic terrorism, and we have a president who won't even use the words, Trump said. If you don't use the words, you're never going to get rid of the problem. Maybe he doesn't want to get rid of the problem, Trump added. I don't know exactly what's going on, unquote. My friends, take it from me. Donald Trump does know exactly what's going on, just as I do and just as you do. Big stink about whether or not Barack Hussein Obama is a Muslim. I happen to believe he is. But even if he's not, he's certainly at the very least a Muslim wannabe. He certainly is enamored of Islam and hates Jews and Christians. So whether or not he is technically a Muslim doesn't matter. He is a de facto Muslim, and that's what the people in the major media and the political class won't say. Well, I'm Howard Riell, and I will say it, and I have said it, and I will continue to say it, because it's true. Item from the dailycaller.com. MSNBC's Chris Matthews has been accused by Bernie Sanders supporters of being blatantly one-sided in favor of Hillary and against Bernie Sanders, to the point that thousands of progressives have signed a petition calling for MSNBC to suspend the host of Hardball because of his constant shilling for Hillary Clinton. The magazine Esquire sharply criticized Matthews' recent interview with Clinton as, quote, ahistorical and out of bounds for his attacks on Sanders. Now, research by the Daily Caller reveals that Hillary's biggest donors are backing Matthews' wife, Kathleen Matthews, in her congressional race in Maryland, even though many of them don't even live in the same state, much less the same district that Matthews is seeking to represent. Unquote. My friends, there's an old expression, a lie goes round the world before the truth even gets its pants on. Chris Matthews has been interviewing Hillary Clinton and doing his best to make her look like she's not an inept loser. Why? Well, according to this, it's just a coincidence that his wife, Kathleen Matthews, has the same donors as Hillary. The part that I find most difficult to understand, most difficult to believe in this item, is when it says that thousands of progressives have signed a petition. I didn't think there were thousands of progressives who knew how to write. Item from cdn2-b.examiner.com. The Bureau of Land Management is showing they have no rules to follow and no regard for either animal or human life. In the video of BLM is burning the land around Prince Glen, Oregon, telling ranchers and farmers to stand down, and that if they attempt to stop the fire, they will be arrested. Meanwhile, in the video, Oregon landowners, neighbors, and citizens trying to scramble to save their belongings and the life of their cattle. Folks can see these cows burned alive, while the Bureau of Land Management federal workers start more fires in the background, including one while the film is rolling. Clearly, the BLM is not putting out the fire they're starting them, and you can see the government workers suited up. This unsupervised incident charred a rancher's home and burned his cattle alive in their corral, not to mention the danger to the landowners themselves. Unquote. My friends, this is government. We'll be back.
We all know that our government is out of control. What are the point the people in it? How can we, the people, bring it back to the people's servants, not the people's masters? Liberty Forum and the Freedom Rider says officials in government must be made accountable for their actions. AccountabilityRevolution.com is the place to go to learn how you can actually make that happen. Become their judges, not their slaves. AccountabilityRevolution.com. Rehabilitation and Nursing Center of the Rockies reminds everyone the chance of involvement in an auto accident rises dramatically with the consumption of alcohol or use of drugs. Please think before you drive. Don't let drugs or alcohol ruin your life or take the lives of others. You are responsible for your own safety as well as the safety of those around you. This message from Rehabilitation and Nursing Center of the Rockies. For information on their services, call 970-484-7981.
Great Plains Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992. Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom-tailored capabilities as modest emergency lighting all the way to commercial-scale power. Great Plains Power is a full-service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom-designed system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to GreatPlainsSolar.com.
No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10.
And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him and cried out, saying, This was he of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15.
All right, guys, welcome back. Howard Riell Truth. In New Hampshire today, they are voting both Democrat and Republican primaries. Hillary Clinton is wetting her pants because she's being drubbed by Bernie Sanders. Another reason she may be wetting her pants, and believe me, I take no joy in using that phrase, is that even if she gets a Democratic nomination, she's probably going to run up against Donald Trump. And as Trump's son, Eric Trump, is about to point out, Trump is the one guy Hillary is the most afraid of taking on. Let's listen.
More than doubling the support of his closest Republican competitor in a brand new CNN national poll released this morning. We want to bring in Trump Organization Executive Vice President for Development and Acquisitions, Eric Trump, joining us right now. Eric, good to see you.
Good to see you, Maria.
Yeah, what numbers? You must be feeling great when you look at these polls.
Unbelievable. Reuters came out last night. He's at 39%. Cruz is at 12. I mean, every single time a new poll comes out, he's just doing awesome. And I think as a son, I'm very proud of him. He's doing great.
Do you worry when stuff happens like last night with the comment that now Hillary is talking about in all of her campaign stuff? It's just not presidential to be talking with this kind of slang.
People must understand Donald Trump to be the non-PC candidate. I mean, I don't know how many of these we have to go through, and he said this and he said that. I mean, he's never going to be the PC candidate that all these media outlets want him to be. First of all, they take a comment that is totally benign and that no one in the general public cares about at all, and they blow it out of total proportion. proportion because it makes a great story for many days. But
he do a lot of crossword puzzles with you as a kid, where he comes up with these words. I mean, the schlong word is a pretty effective word because it does have a couple of different meanings. Even some of his critics were defending him last night, saying that what the word means.
He was saying she got beaten badly, and quite frankly, she did. And I think Hillary's the last person who wants to go against Trump. He is tough as nails. The guy could not be a tougher person. And I don't think she wants to look him in the eyes, either in the debate stage or just a general election.
Eric, is there any frustration on his part that every time he opens his mouth, it turns into this mega circus? Is he frustration? He's going along with it.
He's got to love it.
At the end of the day, we're at 39% of the polls, right? Against, by the way, a big field. This isn't 39% against one other person. This is 39% against the big field. I mean, he's doing absolutely phenomenally well. And listen, I think America's speaking. I think the public's speaking. I can't tell you, and I've said this 100 times, I can't tell you how many times I walk down the street and people come out, sir, my entire building is voting for you, your father, tell him to keep it up. Or you have that person who hasn't voted in 25 years because they're totally disenfranchised by the nonsense. And they say, listen, we're going out to the poll for the first time in 20 years because we believe in what your father's doing. I mean, he started a revolution. There's no question about it. And he's contributed a tremendous amount to politics.
Everybody that attacks him seems to have a waterfall event where they're going over the waterfall in a barrel. Why do you think that is, and what is your dad saying about that?
Well, I think he's refreshing, quite frankly. I mean, listen, there's not a politician, either on the Republican stage or on the Democratic stage, don't use the same sound bites.
I'm more saying they attack your dad,
sure,
and then all of a sudden they drop in the polls. It seems to be like, I could name many candidates that have gone. Bobby Jindal as an example.
I think, listen, I'm a statistical guy. I'm a practical guy. I think that means that people really like his message, right? I mean, every time he is attacked, you're right, Jindal was one of them, and there's many. Lindsey Graham was another one, and and quite frankly, Jeff, who was just on was another one.
How worried
every
is
single
he?
one of these
How
guys
worried is he about Ted Cruz?
I don't think at all. I mean, I think based on the poll last night that came out, probably not at all. And listen, Ted's a great guy. Ted's a guy that we've gotten to know on the campaign trail, and he's been a great guy. But I think my father's going to win this. And my father believes he's going to win.
Why does he
the
think
polls
Ted Cruz
suggest
is
that
such a
he's gonna
good
win this.
guy, and the others aren't? I mean, is there some friendship or arrangement that has been developed between him and Ted Cruz?
No, I just don't think. I think every other candidate has probably hit him very, very hard, and I think Ted's always maintains a certain level of respect for whatever reason. And so I think when that happens, maybe to develop a camaraderie or whatever it is. I mean, I'm not sure if I can put my finger on it exactly, but he's just he always seems to be a warm soul around us.
He's broken so much new ground and should be applauded for that. How does he get the tent back together again as this new age candidate, if you will?
Yeah, well, it's not
I am a Republican and a avowed Republican, so you're going to need to get the whole tent back together. What's the game plan for that?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the plan for that is she beat Hillary, right? I mean, the tent's together when you beat Hillary. Otherwise, everything else is totally irrelevant.
You're going into the nomination. You're at the convention. You've got to bring the fragmented party back together. What do you think the game plan is for that? Before we beat Hillary.
Yeah, well, first of all, you need to get to the convention. Hopefully, we don't need to even get to convention. Hopefully, we can sweep it through a lot of states where you're almost the automatic candidate. But my father is somebody who's a unifier in a certain way, right? I mean, he might be divisive in a process like this because, quite frankly, you have to be. You're running against other people, right? And you have to make your points known, etc. But there's no person who's more of a patriot in America than my father. He is an amazing guy. He loves his country. He doesn't need to be doing this. He doesn't need to be running. I mean, you know him better than anybody, right? We have an amazing company. We're building hotels all over the world. We live an amazing life. I mean, he doesn't need to be doing this. In fact, in a certain way, it's a very selfless act, and I've said that a million times. He's putting his life on hold to do something that for him is almost philanthropic.
Well, wait, what is he going to do with the business if he, in fact, does become president?
Well, listen, I'm 99% on the business, and he's 99% on politics, and Ivanka and Don as well, and we've been there for a long time, and we've done an unbelievable job, and, he has immense faith in us. And
So, I mean, in terms of his wealth, in terms of any stock, would that go on a blind trust? How does that work?
I don't think we've quite figured it out, but, I mean, we would certainly be running the company for him, and he would be 100%
the same thing.
Focused on politics.
Is this Bush's last dance now? I mean, he's just done a 180 on his attitude towards your father, so is this his last dance? He's dead?
I always think the most dangerous person is that person who's drowning, right? And I think you see that right now, right? I mean, he's at 3% in the polls, and seems like a nice guy. Again, I don't know him, but it seems like the most dangerous person is that person who's drowning, and it seems like there's a lot of Hail Marys that need to be thrown by a lot of candidates. And quite frankly, if there's anything I think you're going to see on the 14th at the debate is probably exactly that. A lot of Hail Marys. He's the undisputed front runner. The momentum he has.
Anthony's point is he going to be able to put this all together if he gets through to the nomination?
I told him 2 months ago, I go, just based on what I'm feeling and seeing and my intuition and my gut and what I hear when I walk down the street, I think he sweeps this thing. I mean, I really think he wins.
How does he prepare for these debates?
He's a practical guy. He's not a scripted guy. He's never used a teleprompter in his life. He's never looked at a teleprompter in his
People
life.
love that, by the way.
He says what's on his mind, and I think that's what gives him kind of the charisma that, you know, people are attracted to. You know, and quite frankly, there's people, hey, I don't agree on every single position, but I love the fact that the guy's not bashful and he's afraid to, you know, or he's not afraid to say what he thinks, and that resonates. I mean, how many times do we have to hear the same nonsense soundbite? How many times do we have to hear the I'm going to wipe the hard drive clean? I mean, people are sick of this nonsense. I mean,
He is absolutely right. People like a lot of things about Trump, but one of the things I like most is that he's not canned. He's not reading from a teleprompter. He hasn't been told what to say. He tells you precisely what he thinks and feels. And my God, that is so refreshing coming from someone in the arena of politics just about hasn't existed for decades, with a couple of exceptions. And if Donald Trump does that, then more power to him. Let's move on. Item from Fox News. The battle of the sexes is alive and well. According to the Pew Research Center, the share of women ages 18 to 34 who say having a successful marriage is one of the most important things in their lives rose 9 percentage points from 1997, from 28% to 38%. But for men, the opposite occurred. The share voicing this opinion dropped from 35% to 29%. Believe it or not, modern women want to get married. Trouble is, men don't. The so-called dearth of good men, that is, marriageable men, has been a hot subject in the media as of late. Much of the coverage has been in response to the fact that for the first time in history, women have become the majority in the U.S. workforce. They're also getting most of the college degrees. The problem? This new phenomenon has changed the dance between men and women. My friends, we'll take a break. We will be back. Alright guys, all done. When now that you finished watching this video, please share it, send it to everybody you know, post it on Facebook, everywhere, because we got to get this information into people's ears and their minds and their hearts, and that's what the game's all about. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.